Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be Being Chased Prevents Rejection. Well, I've got 4 emails I'm going to go through with you today. But before I get into it, I got a quote that I wrote I want to share with you about this topic. And it says, feminine energy is all about bonding, connecting, creating, love, receiving, etc. Masculine energy is about purpose, drive, mission, succeeding, accomplishing, being decisive, being direct, breaking through barriers, etc. It's a scientific fact that women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. It's always best, and most women prefer, to do most of the chasing since this is more aligned with their core feminine essence. When men do more than 20 to 30% of the calling, texting, and pursuing, their women tend to not feel deep, passionate love, sexual attraction, or want to be exclusive with them because the sexual polarity is too close to neutral. When a man tends to do 70 to 80% of the chasing, he gets blown off, rejected, friend-zoned, or ignored. It is the man's job to initiate the courtship and set dates, but the woman's choice to decide if she wants a relationship with him. It's always better if the man focuses on hanging out, having fun, and hooking up, and leaving the relationship labels to women to decide when and if they are emotionally ready. So let's get to the first guy's email. He says, "Hey Coach, first of all, I would like to deeply thank you for the awesome help that you give us clueless men. Ever since applying your teachings these last 2 months, I have dated 5 different women. Apart from this, I am also writing you to help me with a small dilemma of mine. So about 3 weeks ago, I met this girl at the bus stop, and to cut a long story short, I talked with her for about 15 minutes until my bus came. I got her number, and for the following 2 dates, I did everything right. The problem is that ever since we made out on the first date, she kept coming every day at the bus stop to talk to me, and the only time that she didn't come, she texted me telling me that she missed me and that she was available the following weekend for the second date, which, by the way, was awesome. I know that her attraction level must be at a sky-high rocket length, but how can I keep her wondering if I meet her every day? Even though I make her laugh every time we meet at the bus stop, I wonder for how long I can keep this momentum going." Well, it's not about playing games with her and trying to hide from her. The idea is that you've got to go to this bus stop anyways. So what? If you see her there, it's fucking awesome. Hang out and have fun. But the key that you should be doing is in between those times that you see her is that you should be making a date to hang out with just you and her at least once a week. And what'll happen is as her attraction level starts to grow, she's going to want to talk to you more. She's going to want to bond with you more. She's going to want to reach out to you more. And she'll actually start doing those things. That way, the relationship and the bonding and the connecting happens more and more frequently as her attraction level for you grows. And therefore, if you let her do that and you just simply focus on making 1 date per week, what's going to start to happen over time as her attraction level grows, usually after the 3rd or 4th week, she starts reaching out to you, calling you, texting you in between. "Hey, just thinking about you. Hey, I'm not going to be at the bus stop today, but I wanted to let you know I was thinking about you in case you missed me." Then your response to that should be, "Hey, it's really great to hear from you. I'd really love to see you again. When are you free to get together next?" Make the next date, and then get the hell off the phone. It's that simple. That will keep her chasing and pursuing you and running after you. And if you just stick to the once a week, that allows her enough time for her feelings for you to grow. And then as her feelings grow, as she starts to miss you and she feels safe and comfortable, because you, at the end of the day, you got to love in such a way that the person you love feels free. That way, she'll start calling. Because think about it from this perspective. You're calling her and inviting her out once per week. And she starts to realize that that's kind of like your modus operandi. That's how you're going about things. And then she starts to realize as her attraction level for you grows that she'd like to see you more than once a week. Remember, feminine energy is about bonding, love, connecting. And so as her attraction level grows, she wants to bond and connect with you more. And so most women are not going to call and go, "Hey, when am I going to see you next?" Or "When can we go out next?" Or "Hey, would you like to go out on another date with me?" They're just going to call you about some innocuous thing to see what you're doing or see what you're up to, and put themselves into your orbit to make it easy for you to make the next date. And you got to recognize those signs when she starts reaching out, that that's what is going on there. And if you allow her to do that, what you'll notice over the course of several weeks is her calls and her phone and her texts and her emails will become more and more frequent. And the more frequent those become, guess what? You'll be seeing each other more and more until ultimately, usually right around week 7, that's usually when the typical woman falls in love. You're doing everything right. She's pretty much calling and texting you several times a day, and you're seeing each other usually like just about every single day at that point. And that's when she brings up, hey, where do you see this going? Well, where do you see it going, honey? What are you thinking? What's on your mind? What are you feeling? Always ask good quality questions. If she's chasing after you, guess what? She ain't blowing you off and she ain't dumping you. And that's the best place to be. So let's get on to the next guy's email. He says, hey, Coach, I hope all is well. We haven't spoken in a while. This is a guy that I did a bunch of phone sessions with probably several years ago. He said, we haven't spoken in a while, but I had a new situation arise with which I am lost. I recently entered back into the dating world from a long-term relationship, but I'm going hard back into it. So this is more of an aftermath sort of question. I met this really cute waitress at a bar that I frequent. She was fairly new, and she said it was her 5th day. I flirted with her every time she came over to the table and exchanged smiles across the bar the whole time we were there. My friend who was with me even admitted that she was reciprocating the flirting. She barely even looked at him when she would check on our table. Well, she could definitely probably tell that you were into her. And let's remember, women like attention from guys. Even if they have boyfriends, they still appreciate the attention because it makes them feel sexy and attractive that other guys are into them. Especially if you're asking them personal questions about what they're doing or what they like to do outside of work, and you're kind of getting to know each other. Because it makes her feel like, wow, he really cares about me as a person, as a human being, and not just looking at me for my tits and my ass. He says, we were there for a couple of hours, so as we were leaving, I went up with my check in hand, and she asked if I needed something else, and I asked for her phone number. She said she wasn't allowed to give it out at work, which is understandable. I tend to think that's a little bit of BS. Some places may have that policy, but I think that's just a BS excuse that they give out. As the GM for the bar was nearby, and she spelled out her full name for me, which I assume was to find her on Facebook. So I found her a couple of days later on Facebook, and then I added her. I messaged her my number and told her to give me a call after she accepted the request, but I haven't heard anything from her. Normally I wouldn't fret over just one girl, but I haven't been struck by a girl like this in a long time. Any tips in this? Well, attraction isn't a choice, and I would have to say in this particular case, the attraction was mostly on your part, and she was just enjoying your attention. But women can tell by looking at you that you're into them. And so this was kind of like a nice way that she was letting you down. But if she really would have been into you, she would have gotten back in touch with you. But since she didn't get in touch with you, she's not that into you. It takes two to make a relationship work. It's like a game of tennis. You hit the ball over the net and you were waiting for her to hit it back. Crickets. Nothing. She didn't do anything. And so the mistake would be to get hung up and just go, why didn't she call me? Why didn't she get in touch with me? I don't get it. She's just simply not interested, dude. That's all. You can't take it personally. If she'd have really been interested in you, she would have looked around and said, she would have slid you that number. And she would have asked you for yours. She would have been discreet about it. If she wanted to make sure there was no way you left that place without getting your contact info, think about it. It's really common sense, but what's going on here is since you really have a high attraction level for her, you're kind of projecting that onto her and assuming she feels the same way because she was flirting back. So let's move on to the third email. This guy says, hey, Coach, I love your videos and your knowledge in general on women. There's just no other source out there that can compare to your advice. And not only it works, it's dangerous in the wrong hands. Use wisely. Use with caution. I have read your book once, and I have about 14 more times to go, so I really know just enough to be dangerous. But it works like catnip to a cat. So I'm separated from my wife of 19 years and the mother of my 2 kids. I'm 35, and we met when I was 16 and she was 20. Oh, you like older women. Nice job. We were kids when we met, and over nearly 2 decades, we have some serious issues in our relationship. Namely, her inability to forgive anything. She still holds on to resentment for mistakes I made over 15 years ago. Well, let me stop you right there. Now, here's the thing. What you got to understand is the reason why women keep bringing up the same things over and over, shit that you did 15 years ago, is because whatever it is that you're doing right now or the fuck up that you have right now, what she's trying to communicate is you've basically hurt her in the same way now that you did 15 years ago. And if you're going to date women, you got to get used to that. She's trying to communicate to you through relational examples. Remember, women are all about bonding and connecting and love and relationships, and this is how they communicate, is through relational type of examples. So you can't take it personally, and you can't get pissed off like, hey, I thought we resolved this 15 years ago, which is how a lot of guys tend to look at that and they get pissed off. You just got to understand, okay, she's trying to communicate to me that I basically hurt her once again in the same way that I did 15 years ago. He says, and after years of me keeping our marriage together by myself, we got into one of our monthly arguments. Well, men who understand women never argue with them. They communicate in a loving, adult, mature manner. And something literally snapped inside me. She threw the divorce word at me for the 1,000th time, and I told her I was done, and I meant it. I packed a bag, and I left 5 minutes later. That was 3 weeks ago, and now she's changing her tune. Women have to know that if they push you too far, you're out of there and you ain't going to look back. Why? The strongest negotiating position is being able to walk away and mean it. And so she obviously threw this at you, like you said, for the 1,000th time, and you always stayed there and took it. And finally you were like, fuck this, I'm tired of you throwing that shit in my face. This is unacceptable behavior. If that's the way your attitude is going to be, then fine. I'm happy to leave, and I'm happy to divorce you, and I can find somebody that I don't have to put up with this crap with. Because that's not loving to threaten me with divorce every time you get pissed off or butthurt about something that I do. He says, that was 3 weeks ago, and now she's changing her tune. She found out that I've been texting 3 women and even read some of the texts behind my back and monitors my texting calling activity on our online account. So she realizes that you're going to move on with your life, that you're over this shit. And if she really cares about you, she's going to realize, I need to change my behavior because my husband is gone if I don't. He says, I've been talking to a few women the past few weeks, very pretty, cool women, and I keep our communications to a minimum so far. Not hours upon hours on the phone, mainly just text and email. And I'm only doing it in that way because I'm not sure just yet if I should take it to the next level and start dating so soon after our separation, as I know where dating will lead. Otherwise, I'd be using those methods to set up dates only. I'm a pretty good-looking guy. I'm built 6'3", 250 pounds, and women have always seemed to find me attractive. I've never cheated or strayed, and obviously not experienced as a single guy in the dating world, but with the advice I've taken from you, these girls are like putty in my hands. Be nice. Don't be breaking any fucking hearts, dude. I don't teach this stuff so you can be abusive towards women. I teach it so you can be a man and treat women how they deserve to be treated. Like the charming James Bond. Don't be a fucking dickhead. He says they are saying pretty heavy things to me, like being the man that they've always dreamed of, and they never met a guy like me before, etc., etc. Yeah, I mean, think about it. 97% of the guys out there don't get this shit. So a woman's odds of coming across a guy like you and I is pretty fucking rare. So that's why when they meet somebody like us and who treats them properly and actually acts like a masculine man, they're like, holy shit, I better take advantage of this because I'm going to lose him to another girl because he obviously ain't going to wait around. He says, so shit is starting to get a little real very quickly. I'm at the point where I either need to make a move or cut communications with them. My question is this. What does it mean when a woman who has spent years trying to push me out and said repeatedly she doesn't even want to try to make it work suddenly starts crying, becoming emotional, and now wants to try counseling? Well, you're acting like a man. You're saying, enough of this bullshit, unless you change the way you're treating me, I'm gonzo, and I can replace you. I have 3 women that are after me. And so obviously she values you, and she deep down really didn't want you to leave, and she didn't take you seriously until you packed your shit and left. So, if you really love your wife and you want to work it out, you need to get back to hanging out, having fun, and hooking up. Start courting her and dating her properly and communicating with her properly, like I talk about in my book. Because a guy that argues with his wife doesn't fucking get it. And it's very simple. how you get women to talk to you and open up, and how to open them up emotionally so they feel safe and comfortable. Because women get bitchy when you're acting weak. When in essence you're not acting like the leader in the relationship, they're going to get bitchy because they don't fucking like it, because they don't want that responsibility. That's masculine energy, and their natural essence is feminine energy. He says, when I left, I checked out, and I'm not an emotional wreck because I've had years of her bullshit that basically killed my intense love for her, so the transition has been easy for me. But now I don't know what's going on, as she gets very jealous and upset. Like an idiot, I thought she meant what she said and she didn't want me, and so did she? But now, obviously she still cares about you and she doesn't want to let you go. And so when she calls you and she cries, you say, baby, you know what? Tell you what, why don't you we'll get a babysitter, and get a babysitter for the kids, and grab a bottle of wine and come on over to my place, wherever the hell it is that you happen to be staying at or living at this point, and say, we'll make dinner together. Hang out, have fun, hook up. And when she starts opening up and talking and crying, all her mascara starts running, hold her and say, what else, sweetheart? Tell me more. Don't leave anything out. And be her fucking rock and be her mountain. And you gotta let her know. It's like, well, the reason I left is because I'm fucking tired of it. I'm tired of you fucking threatening me to divorce and treating me like a second-class citizen. If you really love me and you really care about me, you'll want to work it out. And you'll be sweet to me and you'll be loving to me and you won't treat me like this anymore, because I'm over it. You can see, I've been talking to other women. I haven't gone out with them. I'm thinking about it, but I also love you and I love our family and I really want to stay together. But things need to change. If you want me to stick around, if you want to keep us together, then you've got to make a fucking effort, because it takes two of us making an effort. I'm not going to deal with you flying off the handle and being nasty and threatening me with divorce every single time you get pissed off at me, because I'm over it. I don't need it in my fucking life. So if you love me, show me. Show me right now. Kiss me with those gorgeous lips of yours. He says, is it just her jealousy, or could she have had enough time to actually miss me and realize there are feelings that are there that she didn't realize she had for me? Well, what happened was you stood up to her and you acted like a man and you left. And she obviously still loves you and cares about you. So make a date. Hang out, have fun, hook up. Keep it fucking simple. But learn to communicate like an adult instead of arguing with her like a jackass. He says, something is stirring up these emotions that I haven't seen in her for years, and I think I still love her, but things would have to change drastically for me to even consider getting back together with her. What do I do, Coach? Well, like I said, hang out, have fun, hook up, make your intentions clear when you get together, be sweet, be loving, let her talk, let her do 70-80% of the talking, but also make sure you state what you're no longer willing to tolerate. And as long as she shows you through her actions and her words that she's sweet and loving, that you'll give her a chance and you'll start dating again. I mean, it's like you got to look at it almost as if you're starting dating for the first time, because you've also got to show up and communicate like an adult instead of flying off the handle and trying to argue with her, because that just makes things spiral out of control. And if you're still unsure what to do, I would highly suggest booking a paid phone coaching session, because we can really get into it, you know, when I get to more background info on what's really going on with your relationship. So let's get into the last email here. This guy says, hey Coach, I'm in a bit of a bind and I need your advice. I came across your work a couple of months ago, and you're awesome, and you've changed my perspective on women and how to interact with them. I haven't read your book yet, and yes, I know I need to. I'm a successful, good-looking military officer, recently separated, living in South America. Thank you for your service, brother. I appreciate you. He says, having been living apart from family for almost 2 years, but I just recently separated. And prior to separation, I met a girl down there for about 4 months ago, and we hit it off immediately. She chased me like crazy, and we had a lot of fun. However, even though I was having marital problems at the time and questioning the future, I still wanted to fix the marriage, so I told the girl that I'm married, and after that, South America, that I would return to the U.S. to be with my family. She said goodbye, but for some reason came back to me and dated me. Then I left on vacation to see my family, and it went awful and just confirmed to me that the marriage will not work. It would definitely behoove you to read my book. He says, I came back and told her that. Meanwhile, just prior to vacation, she had become distant. The only reason we still see each other at all is because I practice your advice of inaction and backing off. Amazing how well that works. He says, otherwise, I would have basically stalked her and bothered her with my neediness until she just disappeared. I should mention that when we were dating prior to my vacation, I had a great time, but didn't think about her a lot. When I sensed that she was backing off, I suddenly became more attracted, and now I think about her all the time. Whoa, cowboy. It takes a mutual effort, dude. Take your time, 1 date per week. Just like I talked about in the book, which hopefully by now you've read it, or at least started looking into it. But the idea is you start going out once a week, and as her attraction level grows, she starts reaching out and calling you and texting you, and you just use those as opportunities to set the next date. Is when I told her that I was separated, she was surprised and said that she now just wants to be friends since she thought about me a lot and determined that we have different futures and want different things. I told her that I would not be just her friend and I couldn't be with her without wanting to touch her, etc. She protested that we hadn't even tried it and that what she needs right now is a friend, but I held firm. Good. Nice. That feels right, doesn't it? That's what being a man's all about. You're standing up for yourself saying, this friendship thing ain't going to work. And the reason she's doing that is because she sensed weakness in you, and it caused her to lose the sexual polarity and the attraction that she had for you. And therefore, that's why she tried to basically make you her gay male girlfriend. You said, not down with that. He says, that was a week ago. And since then, she's come over 3 times after dates, and we made love, but it's almost like I need to coax her into it. But I think she expects me to be aggressive since one time she asked me where the champagne was that I had mentioned earlier. When I made my move, she said she needed time to think, but her actions weren't saying that. And then she walked straight in the bedroom, got naked, and got into bed. Because you were being assertive. You were being a man. And you were acting as if, of course, she's going to want to come in the bedroom and get naked and make love to me. Because I'm fucking awesome like that. I'm fucking James Bond, bro. That's how it works. But make sure that you never do more than 20 to 30% of calling, texting, pursuing. Women need that time and space from you to think about, just like she told you. I need to think about what I feel about you, in essence. In other words, she's trying to communicate, hey, you're pursuing me a little too much. You need to back off and chill a little bit more. Like I said, the guy should never do more than 20 to 30% of the initiating. It's obviously us as the men, we need to start the courtship by asking the women out and going out on a 1 date per week. But once her attraction level grows, then she's going to start calling and texting you. He says, we talked last Saturday, and she said she dated someone while I was gone, but it didn't work out. She cried a lot, and she said she's confused, and she sees me as a friend and doesn't want to lose me. I again said I couldn't just be her friend, and she said, well, let's not complicate things. We'll just go out and see what happens. Good for you for fucking having balls and standing up to her, because once again, she's trying to test you and see if you'll be put in in backup mode, in essence. And you said, that doesn't work for me. Good fucking job. He says, I told her I have a plan for my life and I know where I'm going. And I said, I want you to be a part of that, but that I don't want to force anything or pressure her. Remember, you must love in such a way that the person you love feels free. And that's what you're communicating. You're saying, I adore you, I want you, but I ain't running after you, and you're going to have to make an effort. And it gives her the freedom to come to you as she feels comfortable. He says, overall, I can tell that she's backed off, although she contacts me about every other day since I backed off from contacting her. She called yesterday and we talked for under 5 minutes and she said she had to go. And I sounded happy that she called and nonchalant, though on Saturday I told her that I am in love with her. Easy, cowboy, slow down a little bit. When she calls you, you should be making dates and get the hell off the phone. He says, I was going to try to set a date for going out, but with her confusion, I want to give her time to think things through and contact me later. Remember, if she's calling you, and you should assume and presuppose that she wants to see you. And then you make a date. It's as simple as that. He says, these last 3 times we've gone out, she has suggested going out. You definitely should be making dates, dude. Hello, McFly. She's being obvious. Come on, man. She's making it easy for you. He says, later I convinced her to come to my apartment and then to make love, whereas before it was just a given and much easier. Well, that's because you're being all mushy and you're talking about love, and she's just not at that place yet. It takes time for women to fall in love. And so you're acting like a woman, which is causing her to kind of back up because it's weirding her out a little bit. because it's unusual. Because in her mind, she's thinking, you don't even know me yet. He says, my question is, what do I do? Do I give it more time and let her keep contacting me and just ride things through? Do I contact her later this week to set a date, or to remove the awkwardness arising from the fact that she views me as a friend, has low interest even though we are intimate? Do I tell her, hey, I'm moving on, so if you see me as more than a friend in the future, give me a call? The issue I have now is I think her all the time, and I'm seeing a couple of other girls, but none that make me feel like she does. She's a rarity, and especially here. Successful, amazingly beautiful, great personality, everything I like, and plus she's a local. Another doubt she has about us is she doesn't know if she wants to leave here since she has a family and work here, and her entire life has been spent here. It's way too soon to be talking about her leaving and moving away with you, dude. Hang out, have fun, hook up. That's what you should be doing with her. He says, I returned to the U.S. in a year and a half. She's 30 years old, I'm 39, and my instinct is to back off and ride it through. I want to see where this can go. Well, like I said, what I would do is, if you don't hear from her, after a week, call her, say, hey babe, I'd love to see you when you're free to get together. And then you make a date. If she calls you, assume she wants to see you. That's why she's calling you. But most times, she's not going to mention getting together. And what you should do is, if she reaches out, just say, hey, I'm just kind of in the mood to hang. Why don't you grab a bottle of wine, come over to my place, we'll make dinner together. Hang out, have fun, and hook up at your place. Keep it really simple. You should never call or initiate dates more than once a week on your own. If she calls you, say you had a date on Monday night and she calls you on Wednesday, assume she wants to see you. Say, hey babe, it's really great to hear from you. I had a great time on Monday night too. I'd really love to see you again. When are you free to get together next? Then you make the next date. Say, awesome, I'll see you then, or I'll pick you up then, or I'll meet you at such and such place, whatever you happen to be doing for your plans, and then get off the phone. It's really simple. Like I said, just like the title of the video, it's always better if she's chasing you. But what I can tell, you're pursuing her a little too much, and plus you're kind of acting like a woman at times, talking about your feelings. It's just too soon for that kind of stuff. Act like a man acts. Be indifferent about those things. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. Just focus on that, and you'll be golden. But also, read my book 10 to 15 times. Don't put off reading the fundamentals, because once you get into a relationship, you're going to need to know those communication skills. If you don't know those, then your relationship will start to break down and go sideways. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone coaching session. You can do that by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen, and following the instructions for booking a paid phone coaching session with yours truly. And I will talk to you soon.